Does it say we're live?
Just say we're live.
Do I look excited?
You look so excited.
Can Cuban Crack see me in there? Because this is what happened to me. This is what happened to me when I was trying to do UV lasers the other day, and it said I was live, but all people could see was a black screen. And what does Cuban have to say?
Well, I did get a notification on my phone that said you were live.
Okay. So it says we're live, huh? What did he say? Black screen.
We got 15 viewers. They can see and hear us. Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
We're all good.
You guys don't know how much, I don't know what, hey, listen, I'm going to say it right now. If anyone is a pro at streaming live or has streamed live tons of times on YouTube and can help me out, figure out why we struggle with this so much, it has been our nemesis. Like, I want to go live more often, but every time we schedule a live stream, whether it was in China or if it was an epilogue, something, YouTube hates me going live. So I'm so glad that everyone can see me. So yeah, seriously, reach out to me, Michael at Laser Engraving 911, if you have live streaming experience and can give me some tips on how to do it better and how to do it successfully, please do, because man, I'm really good at laser engraving and all that stuff, but when it comes to going live, I struggle sometimes. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining us here on the live. We just wanted to, be fair and announce the LBX 2-day pass winner live, so everyone knew that it was real, and we were really going to give this 2-day pass away to one lucky person. Just want to be clear, it is not an all expenses paid trip, airfare, hotel. It's just the actual 2-day pass that you get for LBX. You'll have to figure out how to get there yourself, but we are going to be doing that later on in the stream. But until then, if you're just joining and you haven't actually participated to get entered to win that, there's instructions in the description of the video on how to get entered to win that. It's not actually commenting on this video and subscribing. It's actually watching the other video, the promo video that we did for LBX, leaving a comment there, making sure you're subscribed, and sharing that video somewhere on one of your platforms. That's how you officially get entered to win the LBX 2-day pass that we're going to be giving away here in a few minutes, probably in about 30 minutes. So if you haven't done that already, check out that video, drop a comment, share it somewhere. We don't care where, as long as you can show us that you shared it. And then in a little bit, we're going to be giving that ticket away. But until then, I just wanted to do a welcome to everybody, whoever's on here, even if it's just a few folks. I know it's in the middle of the afternoon, not the best time for availability for everyone, but I wanted to do a Q&A and just open up the floor. If anybody had any questions about laser engraving, hardware selections, techniques, any of the reviews that I've done recently on any of like the Eufy Make or the Exalaser, or anything else, just I'm an open book right now, and I'm just here to answer anyone's questions. So to the best of my ability. So what do we got here? And Haley, by the way, is over here. She's also very happy because the live stream worked. And she's going to be feeding me some of these questions or comments, so I can hopefully get you guys some of the answers that you need.
Doug Mason says, I'm wanting to get started in laser engraving. What laser would you start with?
Oh, okay. So Doug asks, he wants to get started in laser engraving, and what laser would I recommend for just getting started? I always, whenever I get questions like that, I always kind of fire some questions back like, well, what exactly do you want to laser engrave? Do you want to laser engrave everything, like metals and woods and acrylics and all the materials, or are you just really interested in working with wood and kind of organic materials? So, Xtool has a very nice lineup of beginner units. There's the F1 Ultra, there's the P2. The F1 Ultra combined with the P2 are a great setup because you get the power of CO2 laser engraving with the P2, and then with the F1 Ultra, which is one of my favorite products they ever released, you get the diode plus you get a fiber laser, so you can work on the metal as well. So those are two great starter units. If you were just looking at a CO2 laser, that's not going to break the bank too much, you might want to look at the One laser. That is a really nice CO2 laser at a really affordable price with an RF laser tube. And I have a whole video for what RF tubes are versus glass tubes. So you might want to look into that as well, Doug.
Lynch Reptile says, have a MOPA 60 watt. Any methods on marking, not engraving chrome? Like to mark chrome on my Harley.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So what was his name again?
Lynch Reptiles.
Lynch Reptiles. All right. So he asks, he has a 60 watt MOPA and he wants to laser mark some of his chrome parts for his motorcycle and maybe other people's. But basically, we're talking about fiber laser engraving chrome parts. So here's the thing with chrome that I found out. Usually when you're laser engraving chrome, you're dealing with a super high polished finish. And this is something to consider because if you try to do deep engraving on chrome, which you can with a fiber laser, you can definitely do deep engraving. But what's going to happen is that on a microscopic scale around the edges of that deep engraving on that highly polished surface, you're going to get micro slag. Okay, and they're little tiny melted pieces of metal that you can't really see with the naked eye. And when you go to try to wipe off your engraving or clean your engraving, those little tiny balls of basically molten metal are going to fly off the edges of your engraving, and they're going to smear around the polished chrome, scratching the surface of the chrome. So unless you have some really nice polishing tools, keep that in mind doing deep engraving on chrome. You've got to watch out for the slag bits that are going to knock off the edges and scratch that nice polished finish around your engraving. So what I usually recommend, getting back to your question, is trying to do a white frosted mark or a surface mark on chrome so I don't get that slag buildup and mess up the rest of the polished surface. You can definitely do that with a MOPA laser. What I would recommend is that you get kind of a high frequency setting, don't need too much power, and adjust your line spacing a little bit so it's not so tight, not the same line spacing that you would use for deep engraving, but trying to spread your line spacing out so you're getting more of a your lines aren't so far aren't so close together, so you can get a nice frosted white mark on the surface of the chrome rather than a deep engraving. So that's my answer to that. Kind of lengthy. I don't have a direct setting for a 60 watt MOPA to share with you, but I know there's some libraries out there that people have available that have a setting called like steel white finish or chrome white finish. That's a good mark because you're never going to have anything scratch the rest of the polished surface.
Interceptor says, could you do a video for hobbyist laser engraving budget top 10 you would recommend and not recommend?
Oh, that's a really good idea. So will I do a video for budget engraving for hobbyists? I'm assuming those are going to be a lot of different, probably diode lasers. You know, the really kind of small compact diode lasers with like 10 watt, 20 watt that you might see around for like $400 or $500. For hobbyists, maybe a little bit more. Maybe you could say a review video of lasers under $1,000 for hobbyists. You know, maybe we can do like a top 10 video on that. Thanks for the idea. That is a good video idea. I'm hesitant to do full reviews on all those different mini units or kind of open face sandwich units, I like to say, that were really popular a few years ago that don't have enclosures. I don't really like those type of lasers just because they're open and the fumes go everywhere. But I understand that they have a place in hobbyist workshops for just doing a little engraving here and there. So it is a good point.
Christy Cheshire says, do you do any CO2 videos? I got an 80 watt boss I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, so Christy asked if I have any videos on CO2 laser engraving. Actually, one of the best videos for you to watch if you want to is there's one of my videos called Top 10 Tips on Laser Engraving Wood. And in that video, I'm exclusively using my CO2 laser here. It's an epilogue, 120 watt and a 60 watt epilogue. But there's a lot of good tips on CO2 laser engraving in that video. And then the other one is top 10 tips on acrylics. I'm also using only CO2 lasers in that video. So both of those videos would be good for you to watch to learn some tips and tricks using your CO2 lasers for both wood and acrylic. Hey, I'm going to take a second to talk about a little project that we did recently. So really quick, I want to talk about batch engraving and using fixtures. So recently I got a project where a client called me and they have a brand of toothbrush, which is a really fancy toothbrush right here. And they asked if we could put a corporate logo on each one of these toothbrushes, and there was 900 toothbrushes. Okay, so they're kind of this chrome electroplated, it's plastic underneath on these toothbrushes. And I was like, yeah, sure, we can do that. But in my head, I was thinking, okay, how are we going to do that, right? So I am definitely not going to set 900 toothbrushes underneath the UV laser or some other laser. I had to build some kind of a fixture. But if you look at these, they're not like the easiest thing to fixture up, right? They're rounded and then they come to a taper, they're bent and anything like that. So I was like, I don't even know if I can like laser cut the perfect fixture out of wood or whatever. So what did I do? I reached out to Sam over at Samcraft and I said, hey, Sam, I have this project where I've got to engrave 900 toothbrushes with my CO2 laser. It's a little tiny logo like right here. And I was wondering if you could build me a custom fixture for this exact toothbrush because they're all the same. And he was like, yeah, man, totally. He did it. So I sent him some of the toothbrushes and he did his wizardry. I don't know. He's really good at modeling stuff. He modeled the toothbrush and then he created me these fixtures for my epilogue CO2 laser. And you can see that I was able to fill up my bed with all the different toothbrushes that I needed to engrave, and they fit perfectly right in there and they're nice and flat. And I just wanted to illustrate how fixtures and can be super, super important when it comes to doing large batch engraving jobs or, you know, commercial grade, high volume jobs, and how helpful this was and how great of a job that Sam did on these. So my bed's like 12 by 24. So between all these fixtures right here, I don't know if you guys can see that, I was able to fill up my full bed with as many, I'm going to try to not screw this up, I'm going to try to squeeze them together, But anyway, I was able to fill up my bed with as many toothbrushes as possible. And what's really cool about what he did was he took into consideration that they don't lay flat when you just lay them down. He actually made sure that when they're in the mold, this part is perfectly flat. And I just want to give a shout out to Sam, because he did such a great job and he helped me complete this project in record time. And I was able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 toothbrushes at a time. And that meant that while this job was running, I was able to work on other jobs. And so he has been, you know, if you don't know who Sam Craft is, I'm surprised. I'm sure that all of you do. I just wanted to say that his services over there are excellent. They're not just, not just making custom fixtures for like the F1 Ultra and other units. You can also reach out to him to make custom fixtures for a specific item that you may need to do a large batch engraving job on. And he did a knockout job, and the customer was extremely happy with the way they turned out. And it's using a fixture like that when you have a lot of pieces really speeds up time of getting the job done, and it frees you up to go do other things in the shop. And all you have to do is kind of switch out the trays. So if you're interested in Sam's jigs for your F1 Ultra, or you need a custom jig made, in the description of the video, I listed a link to his website, and there's also a coupon code there. And I just want to say live, thank you again, Sam. That was great that you did that. And I will definitely be having you make some more fixtures in the future, because that is not my specialty. I know a little bit about 3D printing, but not enough to do something like that. So he's my go-to guy now. Anyway, that's my little, I'm gushing over Sam Craft on his jigs, but what do we got for some more questions?
I don't have any more questions.
That's okay. So if you're just joining, we're going to be doing a giveaway here in a little bit, not too much longer. We're going to take everybody that threw their hat in the ring for the promo video that we did for LBX. And that is linked in the description of this video. If you haven't gone over and left a comment on that video, you haven't shared that video somewhere, and you're not subscribed to the channel, go do that now so you can get entered to win when we spin the wheel and give away the LBX 2-day pass that's coming up. But we should talk about LBX really quick. Has anybody in here been to LBX before? I'm curious to see if anybody went to the last LBX. It was pretty awesome. And it's coming up pretty quick here. What do we see? But LBX is coming up. It's July 19th and the 20th, and it's in New York. And it's basically Lightburn education on steroids multiplied by more steroids. And it's just, if you want to get absorbed into Lightburn in the deepest way possible and find out all kinds of different tips and tricks and hacks, and also meet tons and tons of vendors that like sell blanks and raw material. And if you want to see new equipment firsthand, like the Exalaser HD1, there's Eon Laser's going to be there showing their stuff off. Tons of laser vendors. This is going to be a event that you're not going to want to miss. I'm definitely going. I'm looking forward to some of the talks. I already signed up for all my classes so I can learn more about Lightburn, because I definitely have some catching up to do. But Lightburn is coming up, and I believe they close the registration pretty soon for Lightburn. Yeah, on the 15th, I think they're going to close registration for it. So you might want to pick up a ticket now if you've been on the fence. There is a coupon code in the description of this live stream that you can use for $25 off. It is not an affiliate code. It's just a coupon that they gave to me to share with you guys. So it is $25 off. I really just want to encourage everybody to get there if you can. And I know it's a stretch for some people because of the amount of education that they're offering there. Anybody who's just starting off, even people that are like seasoned Lightburn vets, you're going to get a lot of value out of it. And you get a license renewal for your Lightburn license software. So that's kind of a bonus too. Huh?
For 1 year.
For 1 year, yeah. You get a license renewal for 1 year. You're going to meet all kinds of people in the industry that are either super advanced Lightburn users. You'll probably get to talk and meet some people in person that maybe you've seen in the different forums and around the laser space. I'll be there. Probably some other people that run YouTube channels will be there. So you just get to pick the vendors' brains, pick people that know more about Lightburn than you do, which is what I'm going to be doing, and just try to soak up as much as I can in those 2 days. It's going to be a really cool event.
Catskill Embroidery is going for their first time this year.
Oh, nice. Okay, so Catskill Embroidery is going for their first time this year. Yeah, it's definitely going to be awesome, for sure. So,
Randy Morris says, can you talk a little bit about engraving inside a crystal cube, how it's done, and what equipment is required?
Ah, very good. Okay, and what was her?
Randy Morris.
Randy Morris. Okay, so Randy Morris asked, can I talk a little bit about subsurface engraving? So that's basically when you see those lasers engrave inside of like blocks of crystal, what that process is and what that looks like. I actually did a whole interview with one of the leaders in that technology, and you can find that on my page. His name is Riaz, and if you look at all my videos, you'll see, I think it's called like the secrets of subsurface laser engraving or something like that. But basically that is a very specialized type of laser that you have to get. And it's also specialized software. It doesn't work with Lightburn. So you have to have specialized software that actually puts those little point clouds inside of the crystal. It's a special wavelength of light, which I talk about in my video. Riaz kind of breaks it down in great detail there. And then you also have to pay for a service to convert your flat 2D photos into 3D photos, and then get that file back, loaded in the proprietary software, and then the laser can shoot through the crystal and drop those little tiny I don't know if you guys can see that. All those are hundreds of thousands of millions of points in there to get that 3D effect, just like you see here. And we talk about that in the video. So you should watch that video because that's where we break it down.
Interceptor wants to know, do you have any advice for people wanting to start laser engraving who has dyslexia?
Okay, so do I have any advice for... I feel like this question came on the Laser Source podcast as well the other day. Do I have any laser engraving advice for someone who has dyslexia starting a laser engraving service? Haley has a suggestion, so I'm going to listen to Haley and then feed it back to you. What is it?
Well, I've never been diagnosed, but I suspected something that I've found that is helpful is the proofs.
Yeah. Is the proofs? What do you mean by that, Haley?
By having the customer double check for me.
Oh yeah, so definitely number one thing is you're always going to want to make proofs for your customers in any laser engraving business. So the other thing that I would recommend is that you're probably going to want a second pair of eyes on hand always before you send out the proof to the customer, because the last thing you want is your customer to get your proof and there's a lot of different spelling errors in it to the point where it looks very unprofessional to them. So if you can always run your proofs, if you have dyslexia, with another set of eyes to someone who doesn't have that, that's probably going to be your best bet. And also, maybe, I don't know, this is a long shot, maybe there's some kind of artificial intelligence third-party app that can proof things for you before you send them out. But definitely the easiest, I think, would be having a second set of eyes looking at everything that you're sending out to the customer before you actually engrave it and before you send out your proofs. That's what I would do. I would say, here, come here, look at this before I send it out, please.
I don't know what Alex had to say about it.
I think it was very similar. I think we talked about it on the podcast over on Laser Everything. I was on the podcast the other night, and someone had asked that same question. It might have even been you. And that was one of the main advice that I heard was get a second pair of eyes before it goes out. If we don't have any other questions.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Okay, go ahead.
So James Kimbrough is a backer of Laser, and they want to know, do you have any recommendations on a good, compact, light burn compatible CO2 laser that would sit alongside the Laser?
Yeah, so it's James, right? So James is asking, he said he's a backer of the Laser HD1 project, super cool, but he wants to know what is a smaller, more compact desktop style CO2 laser that could be paired nicely in the shop along next to the Laser HD1. And I think there is a lot of great options out there. I mentioned earlier in the stream that Xtool has a very affordable line of CO2 lasers. They've got the P2 and the P2S. There's also one laser that you might want to check out. They have a nice desktop unit. It is a little bigger than most desktop units, but it comes with the RF tube, which is really nice to have. And then the other one that came to mind was you've got Eon Laser. They've got the Mira series, and they have a nice compact unit as well. It is and I think you can get that in both RF or glass tube. So check out Eon, check out One Laser, check out Xtool for their, basically not their starter units. They're not going to have the biggest bed for getting started, but they're all CO2 lasers, and I think they're all priced really fairly. So there's 3 for you to go check out.
James also wants to know if LBX offers online tickets to LBX or online seminars.
Yes. So I believe that afterwards, after the seminar is over, and I was just looking at their website today, I'm pretty sure that after the seminar is over, they record all the different breakout sessions or the educational sessions. And I think you can sign up to get a membership at LBX to be able to watch those classes after the fact. So you can watch them at your leisure. So I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they do offer all the different sessions recorded that you can watch after the fact, but you do have to pay a membership fee to be able to access those educational videos. Yeah. No, that's cool. So I just wanted to, how are we doing on time?
3:16, we're on about 28 minutes in.
All right, cool. So one of the things I haven't really talked about that is going on in my world is that we finally, I've been here running Sonoma Laser Engraving, my full-time laser engraving business, and YouTube in my shop, which is located in my basement. And I've been doing that for the past 5 years here in Georgia. And as Laser Engraving 911 has grown and we've produced more content, and as Sonoma Laser Engraving, my full-time business that I've been doing for over a decade has continued to grow, we finally can no longer withstand the basement anymore, and we have run out of space. And I have finally secured a commercial retail location. And I haven't really said much about it yet. This is my first time talking about it, but over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we are already starting the process of moving all of my equipment, all the different lasers, laser cleaners, UV lasers, fiber lasers, epilogue lasers, one lasers. It's all going into the new shop. And when you see me probably on future videos in the next 3 weeks, you're going to see me at a new location. I've been trying to record as much as I can of me kind of what it looked like before we did a little bit of painting and kind of clean the place up. I've been trying to record myself loading things into the shop so I can kind of maybe do a video of what it's like to move from a home-based business to a commercial space. It's a big undertaking. It's kind of scary. I've been in a commercial space before, and I downsized when I came here to Georgia and tried working from home for 5 years, but now I've outgrown this space. And I'm hoping what I'd like to do is kind of share the journey with you as much as I can, give you guys a tour of the new space, how I have everything laid out so you can see where I put the fiber lasers, where I put the CO2 lasers, where we build the little studio where I'll be doing my YouTube thing here, and kind of explain why we set things up the way we set things up, why things are located where they are, and just share with you how I chose to set up a commercial space versus like a home-based business, and share with you also some of the struggles that we had along the way with leases and building permits and fire department inspections and things like that, and just kind of share some of my top tips when moving into a commercial space. I'm learning a lot, again, because it's been a while since I've been in a commercial space. I'm learning a lot again about what it takes to do that. But that's what we're doing. So if I'm kind of MIA over the next week and a half and not releasing too much content, just know I do want to release content, but I also have this move that I'm doing, and it's not something I'm looking forward to, but it's also something I'm looking forward to because moving sucks. There's just no way around it. Moving sucks, but I think the reward will be very nice when we finally get in there, and I can't wait to share the new space with everyone. So I wanted to share that with everybody, kind of a fun little announcement.
Good. Congratulations in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate that. So I will try to share as much knowledge as I can on what it looks like to do that, from moving from home to a space. I think the hardest part for me was trying to pick a space that wasn't too big and wasn't too small. So that was probably one of the biggest, and also trying to find a place where I didn't have to commute 45 minutes to work every day. So that was also a struggle, but I'll share all that in the video. Let's see, do we have any other questions that popped up?
Doug Mason would like to know what all is included in your consultation mentorship, because they're a slow learner and a quick forgetter.
So Doug wants to know, when I do private one-on-one consultations, which I do offer, what is entailed in that. So to be really clear, Doug, one of the things that a lot of the stuff that I do in my consultations is based around helping you formulate your kind of maybe your business ideas for getting a laser engraving business started. If you haven't picked out any hardware yet, kind of listening to you and figuring out what is the best suggested hardware for people that looking to get started. And I'm going to listen to what you want to do, and then kind of give you feedback back on some of the equipment that I would recommend based on your budget, based on the things you want to engrave, based on your location, if you want to be online, if you want to be offline. I also can talk about Adobe Illustrator techniques and how I prepare art files for engraving. We can talk about different materials for engraving. We can talk about the different lasers and how they are best suited for different materials. We can talk about marketing, how to set up your website, how to get noticed, how to get new customers, how to put your name out there, how to set up your Google review, Google business listing. But what I don't do is specific one-on-one tutorials on how to use your laser equipment, or specific one-on-one tutorials on how to use Lightburn or XCS software or CorelDRAW. It's not really a tech support type personalized one-on-one consultation. It's about getting started and giving you the best advice I can for getting started with your business. I hope that kind of clarifies what my one-on-one consultations are.
Interceptor wants to know, does Lightburn have a YouTube channel?
Lightburn definitely has a YouTube channel, and they have, so Interceptor wants to know, does Lightburn have a YouTube channel? They absolutely do. And I've noticed recently they've been putting out a lot more content on tutorials when they release a new feature, but they also have tutorials on how to set your machine up, depending on what type of machine, whether it's a Galvo or a CO2. And one of the tutorials that I found really helpful recently was how to set up a rotary tool on a Galvo fiber laser or UV laser. And I actually used that tutorial from their YouTube page and watched it a few times to set up my rotary on my UV laser, and it was extremely helpful. So yes, Lightburn has a YouTube channel, and they have a lot of great information on there. So I would definitely subscribe and check that out for sure. So the other thing that I want to mention is that in a few minutes here, I won't drag it out too much longer because we don't have all afternoon to do the question and answer, is we are going to announce the LBX 2-day pass winner, which they bonused me to share with all you, with everybody here. We're going to announce that and pick a winner here in just a few minutes. If you haven't entered to win, and you haven't gone over and watched the video where I did an LBX promo, just talking about my experience, my past experience at LBX, there's a link in the description of this live stream where you can go and watch that right now. Drop a comment on the video, hit the share button, and share it on your YouTube page, your Facebook page, your Twitter, any platform that you have. Just share the whole video because we're going to pick a winner here. And when we do pick a winner, Haley's gonna put all the different people that are on that that have commented on that specific video. She's gonna put them into a wheel, spin the wheel, and then we're gonna announce the winner here. And then you're gonna get in touch with Haley, and she's gonna ask you. She's gonna check if you're subscribed. She's gonna check if you dropped a comment, and she's gonna check to see if you shared somewhere. So if you want to get entered to win this 2-day pass, make sure you do that really quick before we announce the winner here in a few minutes.
Randy Morris wants to know the difference between a UV and a CO2 laser and the advantages of each.
Okay, so Randy wants to know what is the difference between a UV laser and a CO2 laser and the advantages of each. So right off the bat, there are tons of differences, first of all. But with the CO2 laser, one of the advantages with the CO2 laser is they're definitely better at cutting material, whereas a UV laser is really suited for engraving on lots of different materials. So a CO2 laser usually has a much bigger work area. And because you have that bigger work area and a different type of wavelength of laser beam, you can cut wood, you can cut acrylic, you can cut leather out, you can do a lot more laser cutting, but you also can do engraving on larger areas. So that's one of the pluses. You can also engrave on glass with a CO2 laser, but not the same way you can engrave on glass with a UV laser, which is one of my favorite parts of a UV laser. Now, switching over to the UV laser, one of the benefits of having a UV laser is they can actually engrave on almost every material known to mankind, which is very interesting. So you can engrave on glass, you can engrave on plastic, you can engrave on acrylic, you can engrave on stone, you can engrave on crystal, you can engrave on metal. Now, when it comes to metal, you can engrave metal with a UV laser, but you're not going to get the same kind of depth that you're going to get very quickly like you would on a fiber laser. And when you engrave glass and crystal with a UV laser, the differences are very different from engraving glass with a CO2 laser. I have a whole video on this on the Omni One UV laser. You should definitely watch it on my channel if you haven't already. It's about the Omni One 5-watt UV. But listen, when you engrave glass on a CO2 laser, you're only microfracturing the surface of the glass. You're not actually removing any material on the glass. So while you can get really cool results, you might kind of get some flaky results. And if you look really close, you can see that the surface of the glass is microfractured to get that frosted look. When you engrave glass with the UV laser, you're actually removing material, meaning you're getting a true engraving. You're actually carving away the glass. So when you feel it after engraving with the UV laser, you can actually see where the glass material was removed for a true engraving, not a surface microfracturing like the CO2 does. So I hope that kind of explains the differences there for you, buddy. Science. I definitely, since I've had my UV laser, I definitely prefer doing glass exclusively on the UV laser now, just because it's such a refined look. It looks so pro, and it literally feels like it was sandblasted. Like, it's just so clean and so professional looking. And it's just as fast, if not faster, as being done on the CO2 laser. So when I can get away with it, I do all my glass on the UV laser. Any new questions there?
Interceptor wants to know, is it worth using a masking paint for engraving polished materials?
Oh, is that back to the, okay, so Interceptor wants to know, is it worth it using some kind of a mask on polished materials like chrome? We talked about chrome early on. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I've experimented with that in the past because of, engraving deep onto chrome, highly polished surfaces with the fiber laser. And what I found is that using a mask to engrave deep on polished surfaces, you still are going to have that little bit of slag around the edges of the engraving. So even when you peel the mask away, you still want to get rid of that slag. So there's still a possibility of you scratching the rest of the polished surface. So I'm not sure if a liquid mask or a paper mask or some kind of other mask is going to help out much with doing deep engraving with a fiber laser on polished surfaces. If someone has a better technique, please share it in the comments. It's always been one of those things that I wish I could do more deep engravings on highly mirrored polished surfaces on metal without the risk of ruining the rest of the polish. But it's always been the only way I've ever been able to get any scuff marks out is with rouge and Dremel and polishing tools. That is the answer for that. So what do you think, Haley? Do we want to start loading some names in to the wheel? You think you've got them all loaded in already?
Pretty much got them all loaded in.
Oh, Haley said she's...
There hadn't been any more comments.
That's all right.
That's all right. Only so many people can get to New York,
Only so many people can get to New York, and I understand that, because it's getting to New York, it's getting a hotel. I think some of the people in the comments on the main video were actually local.
Yeah.
So if they get it, that's great, because then they get the free pass. So, but before we do the drawing, I just want to clarify that tickets are still on sale right now. They're $150 for the full 2-day pass. That gets you access to the classes, access to the vendor rooms, all that stuff. And even if you can't pay for the ticket, they still have the Makers Market space, which is free to anyone who wants to come by, where they have actual people that have made stuff with Lightburn laser engravers selling their stuff. So you get to meet them and see what kind of goods they're selling. And I believe that's free to the public just to attend the Maker Market space. And then I also have a code that I listed in the description below if you want $25 off your ticket of $150. Lightburn gave me that to share with you guys. It's not an affiliate code, so use it if you need to. All right, so do we want to spin the wheel?
All right.
All right, here we go.
Shuffle.
Need some drum rolls, some drum rolls.
Drum rolls. We're gonna spin the wheel.
All right, we're going to spin the wheel starting right now. She's spinning it. Ding, 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 ding. Drum roll, please. It's going to be a name I can't pronounce.
It's a name we can't pronounce.
It's a name we can't pronounce.
We're going to say Pixel Jedi.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, Pixel Jedi
999.
Give me the full name. Pixel Jedi 999. Is that it?
PXLJEDI 999.
All right, but we're going to say Pixel Jedi is the winner of the 2-day pass for LBX. Hopefully, you either watch this live stream or if you're in, are they in the live stream right now?
Not that I know of.
Okay, well, that's all right. That's all right. We're going to make sure that we get a hold of Pixel Jedi 999. And we will definitely, congratulations on winning the 2-day pass. I hope that you're able to make it out there, and that is the little push that you needed to get on a plane and go to LBX. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of value out of attending that event. We'll let you know in the comments that you won, and then you can get a hold of us, and Haley will give you instructions on how to claim your 2-day pass for LBX. So congratulations. Yes.
Congratulations.
Pixel Jedi. Nice job, man.
All right.
Or woman. I don't know. We'll find out. But anyway, I think that pretty much is gonna wrap it up. We'll see if anyone else has a burning question here before we wrap it up today. This is just going to be a short live stream. We wanted to announce the winner live. I've got things to do in the shop, places to be, things to pack up, things to move. But if we have any other burning questions, I'll give you one last question we'll ask. And then I want to thank everybody who jumped on today. I know it's the middle of the day, so I'm sure everybody will watch the replay later, which would be awesome. Glean some bits of laser engraving knowledge and education on some of the topics. Those were all really good questions, by the way. Really good questions, especially the one about engraving on polished chrome or polished steel surfaces and how you want to watch out when doing deep engraving on that for those little tiny micro slags that could scratch the surface. But got any last minute questions?
No.
No?
Do you want to choose a runner-up in case Pixel Jedi never responds?
Well, if we do, I don't think we want to choose a runner-up live, but I'll tell you what, if we can't get a hold of Pixel Jedi, we will definitely go back to the chat replay, and we'll just keep picking someone who you still have a chance if you want to go and share that video, comment on the video, because it's happened before. We've given away stuff before, and we've reached out to people in the comments, and they never get back to us. So we could have a backup winner. So if you want to go hunt and you haven't left a comment on there, then do so now. And if you're watching the replay of this live, do so now, because we might have a backup winner. But if that's about it, I want to thank everybody who's subscribed to the channel. You guys are great. I appreciate all your support, and hopefully we'll continue to have good luck going live, and YouTube will be nice to us and let us go live more often. So until the next video, we'll see you around on Laser Engraving 911. Bam.